Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, another one of those chefs. And this, by the way, this isn't, somebody from season 10. I went back and got somebody from season 2. The youngest chef to participate, is a better word, in Hell's Kitchen. How about that? You think you're 35 or 45 and you're in there and you're crapping your pants. How about being 21? And then seeing that maniac. Shouldn't call him a maniac. That's not fair. But you know what I mean? He's off the wall. But anyway, I'm really excited that my next chef, I should say, in our series of Hell's Kitchen, as I mentioned, appeared on Fox hit show Hell's Kitchen, season 2, Giacomo Alfieri. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Welcome to the podcast. Let's start off on the journey. I want to hear what inspired you. How'd you even find out your early season, right? When it's not like, as I mentioned, we're not in season 8, where you have years and years to look at and a lot of tape. Only season 1 is done, right? And that one's probably, while you're filming, that's probably still rolling somewhere, right, on TV, or rolled out somewhere on TV. So it's really new. What inspired you to get into the kitchen?
Well, I tell you, back then, this is before the days of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
That's right.
The internet was still dial-up for the most part. It was interesting. A friend of mine who was a Cisco food rep who took care of my family's restaurant found in the paper an ad, in the newspaper, believe it or not, that they were doing an open casting call for Hell's Kitchen. And I had seen the first season and noticed, there was, you had a nanny on the first season. You had, I think, an accountant. These were like home cooks that they were bringing into this kitchen. I remember watching this thing and I was like, Mom, Dad, I can do this. Not only can I do this, I think I could win this whole thing. Yeah. I was like, if they just show me how to do it once, like my dad, when he was training me in this business, he'd always spend time with me, and, he'd show me, and he would show the employees how he wanted it done. And obviously in any job you would have guessed, that's how the boss would do it. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he came in. He was like, "There's a open casting call this evening at Billy Bob's, Texas. Let's go." Oh, and I was like, "Dad, can I have the night off so me and my buddy Robbie Bennett could go and do this casting call?" We got there like 3 or 4 hours early, because having done interviews and casting calls in the past, I knew that if you were there first, if you were the first ones the decision makers were seeing, you could have way more of an impact on their decisions. Well, sure enough, we did the interview with them. I was the first one in, and a week later, they gave a call back, and that was kind of the beginning of this. Felt like it was most likely about a 5 or 6 month casting process, as my memory serves me. And 6 months later, we were in Santa Monica, LA, shooting Hell's Kitchen, man.
What is the prep like? You find out I know they whittle it down to 50 or whatever it is, and then you're finally selected. Are you, how long are you out there? From the time you find out to the time you have to be in LA, is that weeks? Is that a couple months? Do they give you prep time? Tell us a little bit about the preparation before filming.
Sure. Yeah. So from the first casting call, Billy Bob's, they estimated 48,000 contestants tried out nationwide. Okay. So from that point on to where the next part of it was I think a month later, where they asked you to film a video of yourself and your family and your restaurant and what you do. Sent that in. From there, they sent information like, please fill out this 100-page psychological evaluation, blah, 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 blah. And they're keeping in contact, no email, all over the phone. This is back with, I don't even think I had an email back then. This was early on, with social media and tech and everything. But when they flew us out, there was about 500 people they flew out to LAX. As far as I can tell, one day into it, they sent home half of the contestants.
Wow.
So they met with all of them, sent home half. Now we're at 250. Okay. So from 250, they dwindle it down the next day to 50. At that point, they got all the 50 last contestants in the room and say, okay, guys, at this point here, you'll get a call back one way or the other, when you made it or not. Now, don't forget, there's 12 on the show, as I can remember. And they sent you home. And it was close to a month, maybe a little bit less than a month before I got the call. And I remember those days, they were so long waiting for this call because there was no communication. It was just waiting every day. I was so thankful that when I did get the call, I was working at the restaurant, my family's restaurant. 21 years old. And all of my family was here at the restaurant. Just so happened, my mom, dad, my brother, a couple of really close employees that were emotionally invested in this thing with me,
Yep.
And they got the call. I got the call, and I remember the look on their faces. Just making it on this show, in the whole process, was the best moment for me. Just being able to get through that casting process, that interview process, as meeting with the producers, meeting with the storyline producers, as a 21-year-old kid who is a small town dude, who works in his family business.
That's awesome.
So that was amazing. It was amazing, man. It really was.
That's a great story too, that you get out there. So did you get a chance? Let me put it this way. We had a lot of questions come in to all the chefs that have participated in our show. And a lot of people want to know, is there any way to prepare from a chef's point of view? What's really impressed me about this series and researching this series and watching every episode of every series, of every season, I should say, is really how talented you guys are. I mean, you're right. In the early seasons, they had like moms that, cook pancakes, but there are also chefs. I mean, the things where and we'll get into this, but the things where you have to, Chef Ramsay makes a dish and then you have to make the same dish. I mean, it's like some of the stuff that I don't know. I don't know the difference between sweet and sour. So to be able to cook a dish on site with, and tasting it and know what that sweetness is from is really impressive to me. But so to that point, a lot of people, of our listeners and viewers, have sent in questions to ask. And one of the ones that's reoccurring, Giacomo, is how do you prepare? I mean, is there any way as a chef to prepare to go on to Hell's Kitchen?
I did as much as I could, or what I thought that I could do. After I was eliminated from the show, I really would have loved to talk to other chefs to give them help. I could have been a great consultant for future Hell's Kitchen people, because my preparation that I had taken before was the wrong preparation. Being on my season, I really early on, I noticed that there were 2 or 3 cooks, chefs that were contestants that had serious experience in French cuisine. They knew the French terms for equipment, things that me and you would call a strainer, they would call chinois. Oh. For one small example. So when they say, when you'd be called, go get the chinois, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? When you're running back and you want to act like you know what you're doing, but you're running back to the storage room and you're like, what the fuck is this chinois here? Excuse my language. And you're looking around, chinois. That was one small example. Now, you need French cuisine training. You need to understand even how to speak French to do well, at least in my season. I know things have changed year upon year in this show drastically. Yep. But for my season, you needed to come in, and you asked about preparation. You had to come in with serious experience already. It's not like they're going to pull down their pants and show you exactly what they want. They're going to tell you what they want, and they expect you to know how to do it. That was my biggest thing, was terminology. Being on my feet for 14, 15 hours a day and not sleeping, that wasn't a big deal. I knew I could get through that. Yeah. But I really expected a small bit of training before we were open, quote unquote.
So let's talk a little bit about your fellow contestants. You seem to have a pretty strong group of chefs. I mean, you could talk about the Larry and I forgot the one or before that, Gabe and Polly and some of the ones that didn't go too far, but Heather and even Virginia, Keith and Sarah, you had Garrett, you had some people that can cook. No,
absolutely. You could tell right off the bat, Garrett knew what he was doing. Keith, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
He was, I thought, on my side, the most talented in the kitchen. Obviously, you had, Mamma mia, I can't remember the name. You just rattled two of them off.
Heather, Virginia.
Heather was just, Heather had her game face on all day, every day.
Yeah.
She was just, I remember looking at her, her demeanor was different. She was there for a mission and she accomplished it. And let me tell you, I just recently looked at her Facebook page and she's got a beautiful family now. She's a mother. Great. And she's just, I'm proud of her. And Virginia as well. Virginia's been very successful in her life.
Yep.
She's got a couple of different restaurants, as far as I know, in my area, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but she's in Texas, I think, right?
Yeah, she's got a restaurant here in Fort Worth, and I think one out kind of in West Texas as well.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that's good. And by the way, you mentioned Keith. He drowned, I think, didn't he? Is that what I heard? Or
yeah, I read that. I didn't talk to any of his family or anything. We weren't terribly close. I did get really close with Rachel, another one who passed away.
Yeah.
Because she was actually right from the town right next to me, so I got to spend a lot of time with her after we were eliminated. Forgive me. And that hurt. That one hurt because she was such a sweet person. I still think about her all the time, and she impacted me. She kind of took me under her wing, to be honest with you, on the show. In travel, we had to travel a lot together, and she cared for me. She really did, like a mama bird.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
So let's take it. You get into Hell's Kitchen, and the epic signature dish comes up. I got to tell you, brother, I thought you were going to get whenever Chef Ramsay, and I remember you going up there with Sarah, and Chef Ramsay asks her to try your dish, and I went, oh, it's got to suck really bad. He's going to get killed. And she doesn't say, she says, it's very nice, I think was her quote. Wow, it tastes very nice, or something like that. And he said that it was the best dish of the season at that thus far, right? I think that's how that went.
Look, yeah, exactly. It was all downhill from there, babe. Okay, it was all downhill from there. But look, I was proud of that moment. I'm a 21-year-old little cocky, egotistical thing, who knows he can cook a freaking bowl of pasta with clams and shrimp.
That's right.
That's easy. Yeah. I did it my whole life. That's what I ate every Sunday growing up.
Yep.
But let me tell you, that was my shining moment in Hell's Kitchen when he enjoyed it. But I'll tell you one thing they didn't show on camera. That right then, I gave him this huge big bowl of pasta and maybe I don't know, there was 15 clams, 15 mussels, scallops. I threw 10 shrimp on there, plenty for him to eat and have a big to-go box on his way home, just like we do here at the restaurant now.
Yeah.
Okay. And he asked me, they didn't show us on camera. He asked me, he goes, are these the size portions that you all serve at your restaurant? He's probably serving one shrimp, one clam, one mussel, and that sort of thing.
That's
but he did enjoy it. I mean, I used the best tomatoes you can get, fresh basil, salt, pepper, sliced garlic, and I used the Checo linguine. It was a very simple, easy dish you can throw together real fast. So that's why I picked it. I didn't want to be pressed for time when I picked that dish.
He shook your hand and acknowledged that you could be one of the leaders. I mean, that's got to keep you. I mean, people jump off of that signature dish because it's so, everybody's watching from a viewer standpoint, and all the other chefs are, and this, obviously you're there. They're measuring up all the other, who am I going to go up against? So a guy that gets his handshake from Ramsay and gets told, as potential leader of a group. And by the way, folks, if you will remember this, This is the first season where they split them up, men versus women, right? The blue and the red team. So very interesting there. Tell us a little bit about what it was like in the dorms. You mentioned, some things that they don't show. I know you guys, and we've interviewed now 20, 24, 25 chefs, and we have another 20 I think,
Wow.
scheduled. And we've had Virginia, and we've had Christine. We've had a bunch of people on. Tell us a little bit about how is it like, first of all, filming with cameras on 24/7. I'm sure we hear it goes away, them being around, but it's got to be a little bit daunting to have constant, got to watch your P's and Q's, I guess, right?
Yeah, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was, believe it or not, I'm a good boy deep down. Okay, I didn't want to come off ugly because I knew my grandmothers would be watching.
Right.
I knew my mom and her friends, would be watching, my aunts, and I didn't want to come off ugly. So I just kind of kept quiet for the most part. I didn't do anything stupid. I didn't even think about the cameras, to be honest with you. I mean, that's the truth of it. You just don't really think about it when they're everywhere. It's like you're also young too. So I was very young.
Yeah.
So,
so cool.
All in all, I mean, the camera question. I mean, it's just no big deal when you signed up for it, and you don't really think about it.
Right. Anything
Yeah.
happened to you? Everybody wants to know the things that we don't see, Giacomo. They want to
Yes.
see. So anything that happened that you want to share with us that didn't get on TV?
Okay, so there was a point in the show during filming while I was a contestant where I really shut down. Okay, two points. Early on, the first day of preparation, when I realized that this wasn't necessarily a cooking competition. Okay, I realized that I was in a bit over my head. Okay, I didn't know a lot of how they wanted things done, that they weren't going to show me how to do it. Either you know how they want it done or you don't. At that point there, I tried to just watch and learn as much as I could. I was trying to help with a lot of the smaller things to be a part of the team because I'm not going to just sit and do nothing. But the second part of the show, I'll tell you right now, I had a really rough night in the kitchen for those reasons that I just spoke of. And then the producers came down to me. One of the producers, now this is not a storyline producer, this was one of the main ones. He came down to me and says, I want you to tonight, or he consoled me a little bit because of the rough evening we had.
Mm-hmm.
And then tongue in cheek here, he basically told me, I want you to go to your room and pack your bags as if you're going home. When he said that to when he's as if you're going home before stabbing your jacket. You hear me? You understand?
Unbelievable.
When he told me that, I was like, I hope I go home.
Yeah.
I hope I go home. This is a joke. This is not a cooking competition. If it was a cooking competition, you'd show me how you want your menu to look, how you want it done. Show me one time, even at 21, Mr. Marolo, even at one time, I'll do it that way every time. Exactly the way you want it. I may screw up once, but I'm not going to screw up twice.
Right.
That's how this business, which I'm still in, and we've been very, very successful up until this point. Oh, we've raised numbers in our restaurant every year upon year, even with COVID.
Wow.
Thank God. Thank God. That's how we do our business. So in this situation, with what he said to me, I was like, I hope I go home. Now, go on to the coat burning part of the show. When I did get eliminated, he said to me, go home. After he eliminated me, he said, go home to your mommy and daddy. He said to me.
What?
Gordon. And
Wow.
I was walking out. I turned around and just said simply, I am. And I was proud of the way I handled myself on the show. I was true to myself as far as I could be at that age.
Yeah.
You know, and I do want to mention one other, really important part of the journey. And it was when I got back home. Now, I'm not sure if the other contestants have mentioned this on your show, but while you're filming and you're away, pardon me,
Mm-hmm.
you are in what's called sequester from home, which means you have no cell phone, you have no internet access, you can't call anybody. Your only contact is with the people around you, the producers, the handlers, the staff of the show. And the staff really doesn't talk to you. They're instructed not to talk to you because they want the contestants interacting with themselves, of course. And I understand that. When I came home and I got off the plane at DFW airport, I had a ride to the restaurant. I didn't go home. I went to the restaurant because it was about 8:30 at night. I know that we would still be open at Saviano's here. And the airport's about 5 minutes away from the restaurant. So it's a quick drive. When I walked in the restaurant, nobody knew that I was coming. And I walked in and my brother was right there on the pizza ovens, manning the pizza ovens in that position. And my brother's 3.5 years younger than me. His name's Anthony. And he must have been 17 at the time, 16, 17. And he looks at me, yells over to my dad and just says, "Dad, it's Jack," and looks back at me. And my brother Anthony has tears coming down his face. He was so happy to see me. I'd been gone for, at that point, I think close to 2 months. And when he saw me and those tears rolled down his face, he jumped over the counter and we held each other and hugged each other for the most beautiful moment with my brother ever. And man, that was a special moment. That was probably the best part of the experience, was that moment right there when I walked back into Saviano's and saw my brother.
That's a great moment. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. Tell us, Jack, a little bit about, are you staying there after your elimination? Are they flying people home after they're done? Because I know you were there in week 10, right? So you were, or later on, you came back.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you in between all of that? Were you in the hotel? Were you sequestered? Tell us about that.
Okay, so you get eliminated, and it's a whirlwind for a couple of days. Anyway, they brought me to this really nice condo in it was Marina Del Rey, and they give you a stipend every day of a couple $100. They give you a handler, like I mentioned, somebody who's staying in the condo with you, that drives you around. What do you want to do? Basically, you can do whatever you want. You can go to Disney World. I was eating up as many Italian restaurants as I could. I was trying to, we're obsessed with other Italian restaurants as well, learning what they're doing, seeing what innovative things that they're working on, so we can bring them into our business, which we've done over the years. We've taken ideas and what else do we do? I was getting massages during the afternoon. We were getting brunch. I mean, I was living a good life. I think I put on like 15 pounds during that time. I was 10. I felt great.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, that was living the life there.
So let's get into Chef Ramsay. We've heard so many, as I told you, we've interviewed 20 something, 24 or 5 chefs to this point, and have a bunch more to go. And there's so many constant themes about him. One of the things is that, the guy you see in the kitchen is not necessarily the guy you see out of the kitchen. He's a different guy. He's actually funny. He's actually, nice. We've heard a little bit of that. We've heard that, that some of it's, his emotions maybe go to the next level because there's TV cameras there, but he is someone that standards matter. And so when they're not met, he's not faking that. He just, goes off. That's just kind of the way it is. One of the things that has not ever been questioned, and we just talked to Brian Merrill a few days ago, is that he's really the real deal. That I want to get your thoughts on that. They talked about, many people have mentioned, and this is coming from a guy that barely can cook a hamburger, and I'm embarrassed by that. The movement, mise en place or something, that every movement is flowing, and he doesn't waste any movement, and like that to me, I would never notice that. Tell us a bit about your impressions of Chef Ramsay.
Okay, so again, from a perspective of a 21-year-old kid walking into this atmosphere, the first time we see Chef Ramsay is when we're about to prepare our signature dishes.
That's right.
And he's just professional. Now, my biggest memory of him was in a room where there was maybe 100 different staff members in the room, production staff, and he's a very tall man, which you might not realize that, but in a room full of even 6-footers, which I'm 6 foot, in a room full of 6-footers, his stature is definitely there. He's a bigger man. He holds a presence in a room of a lot of people. And that was my first thing. When you see him, he sticks out like a sore thumb. Let's put it that way.
Got it.
In a good way.
Yep.
Off camera, he seemed much more gentle. There was a gentle side of him. But after someone tells you the way that he talks to somebody in the kitchen, I don't care how gentle you can be. You think to yourself, go, whatever, you think, I don't want to hear it, in the kitchen, he is what he is. Come on. I mean, we all know his accomplishments. He's the best. Not only was he the best in the kitchen when there wasn't cameras, okay? He was the best in the kitchen when there wasn't cameras.
Right.
All right. So he was the smartest chef of our lifetime, bar none, the smartest one. Now, I'm not sure how, I know that he's had some rough times with his restaurants he's opened up recently because of what's going on with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, if he never made another dollar from those restaurants, he's not busting his balls every day cutting onions and managing 15 cooks.
Right.
So let's be honest. I mean, he did the right. He's done great. He's done fantastic. You got to hand it to him.
You mentioned this as you were in the process. You're in there, you're battling, and you mentioned this about Ramsay. You said, I think that Chef Ramsay knows that there's something else in me that he hasn't seen yet. I have to find it in myself so that I can pull from it. And once I do that, I have a great chance at winning the competition. Tell us about what you were thinking at that time. And seems confident from a 24, like you said, you went in there with the confidence. And tell us about that quote.
It sounds like I was probably withdrawing from some sort of substance. I have no idea. I never thought that I was gonna do anything. I mean, I knew once I knew they weren't gonna show me how to do it, it wasn't gonna happen, dude. I might have had some false confidence there, but I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. I knew at that time, as I do now, if I was in his kitchen, where it was an actual kitchen, where there weren't cameras, I'd know how to do everything he wanted within a couple of weeks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's not where I'd want to be right now. We're constantly trying to expand our business, but yeah.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that all the chefs have said, and Brian Merrill, as I mentioned, said this, he said, one of the toughest things that people may not realize that are watching the show is that when you get on a line and you're thrown together as a group, that's not something that happens overnight. And it's not happens over a week. It takes 2 and 3 and sometimes even 4 weeks, not to just be good, but to be really good, and flowing, and everybody knows everybody's step and what they can rely on each other. It's like a machine. He was saying that all the pieces and parts have to come together. Do you believe in that? Is he spot on there or no?
100%. I mean, that's beautiful. He put that beautifully. I would even take it to the next level. I would even take that to the next level in longevity in this business. See, anybody can jump in. You can have that camaraderie after a couple of weeks. Yeah. But what happens when one of the guys breaks down. One of the guys leaves. How do you make that work? Who's the guy who steps in then? Where's the insurance policy where you can be in business for 25, 30, 40 years? Where's that guy? That's the most impressive part. The one who can keep the engine going. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Restaurants open and close. Money comes and goes.
Yep.
Who's the one who can keep it going on for the long term? The one where its kids take over, the one where their kids take over, and they're not working for $100,000 a year for somebody. They take ownership of it. They believe in what they're doing, and they're making more money than they would have if they went and got a degree. You understand? Yeah. It's more difficult on the day in, day out, but the reward is much greater, and the legacy is much greater as well. We've been in business. My family has been in business in Saviano's, just in Texas. We're going on 26 years.
Wow.
I am so proud of that. I'm so proud of that. Me and my brother have taken our restaurant to the next level, and we continue to move in that way. Look us up. Look us up online. Look at my Yelp reviews. Look at our Google reviews. Saviano's, Savianos. Look us up.
Where are you? Give me the address. Where are you?
We're at 300 North Euless Main Street in Euless. We're 5 minutes west of the airport,
nice.
the DFW airport. But the next step of life is setting ourselves up and setting our children up. My brother has 2 kids now. I have 3 children, and my kids are already, wanting to make pizza in the restaurant. They see what we do, and they're so intrigued by it. The longevity in this business is the true indicator of success, in my opinion.
Oh, I think
so.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think you're
Having said that, I don't want to say I know everything, but I'm proud of that's what we've done here.
I got 3 more questions for you. You said this when you were eliminated. You said, I was shocked because I'm not a quitter and Tom just gives up. I screwed up one thing tonight and I wish I could take that back. But I guess that's it. You got to pay the piper. Any kind of reflections on that quote? And was the one thing up that wasn't not turning on the stove, was it?
I think that is that. But jeez. If I had a dollar for every time somebody walked into my restaurant and said, "Hey, Giacomo, you got to pay the piper."
Yeah.
I'd be a rich man.
I have to tell you, I won't tell you the chef that said this because I haven't told anybody else. But I asked him because the same thing happened to him about the oven not being turned on. And I said, how does that? Are you just caught up in preparing and prep, or somebody calling you over here? And he said, this was just him and I chatting before. He said, Nick, I would bet my house on the fact that I turned the oven on. I'd bet my house on it. That's what he said. And so I'm wondering, is there any kind of shenanigans? I mean, you might say, hey, no, I forgot to turn it on. But it seems to happen once a season. Somebody forgets to turn, and these are all competent. Even now we're in season 12, I think, or whatever. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. I also heard that, sometimes there's sugar instead of salt. Is there any sabotage going on here? Is there any kind of that you know of or no?
The simple answer is yes. The simple answer is yes. There was sabotage. There were times where we'd be prepping an hour and a half before service. Everybody out of the kitchen. They'd bring us into the hallway. 5 minutes later, we're back in, and nothing has changed. Everything looks the same. Things were in different spots. Veal stock was lamb stock. Chicken stock was this fish stock. Now, I'm confident that I messed the oven up, and I can tell you when it comes to the oven thing, when you're prepping, if you're not multitasking and doing 2 or 3 things, 4 things at one time, there's no way you're going to make it happen. So what happens is you turn the oven on, the fan's going, it's warm, you're working right next to it, and you can feel the heat from it, but it's not the heat that you need. Okay. and you're on to the next thing. Something goes in the oven, 2.5 hours. It's in the oven. It's out of my brain for 2.5 hours, and I'm working on 10 other things. And that's exactly what happened. I remember that thing coming out, and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way to fix a 2.5 hour braised cabbage.
2 final questions. Did you learn anything from Ramsay while you were there?
Yeah, I did. The one thing that he taught us, or at least while I was there, is he taught us how to cook foie gras. That was the one thing that he actually got behind the stove and did a demo for. He didn't do a demo for the whole dish. He just showed us how he cooks a piece of foie gras.
That's cool. That's really
and that
cool.
that was really cool. And when he showed us that, I was like, wow, interesting. So yeah.
Jack, tell us a little bit about what your memory is. It's a fantastic show, first of all, and its ratings are increasing every year. As one of the pioneers from season 2, when you look back on it, obviously you'd like to have gone farther, but what's your memory about being on Hell's Kitchen?
Okay, so when somebody comes to me and says, which happens on a weekly basis, people walk into the restaurant and say, "Are you the guy from Hell's Kitchen? Are you the guy? How was it?" And they'll ask me questions, and I try to be as sweet. Hopefully, we're not too busy at the time, but
Right.
When it's quiet, I get to talk to them, which is it's a constant reminder of the show. Okay. My next strongest memory when anybody brings it up would be Keith and Rachel. I think about them on a regular basis because we went through such a unique experience together, and they're no longer with us.
Right.
All in all, I think of the getting on this show to begin with was such an accomplishment. To get on this show at that time for me was such an accomplishment. And I was able to give my hometown here, Euless, Texas. We could kind of put us on the map of being, one of the restaurants that has been around for so long, and we're still here and we're still strong. And yeah, I have good memories of Hell's Kitchen. I will tell you honestly, I never watched any other season of the show. I hate saying that. I know you're a big fan. I loved the first season. Obviously watched the second season, never watched another episode of the show.
Yeah.
Kind of enjoyed watching Top Chef a little bit more, which seemed to me from watching it on TV as a bystander, it was more of a cooking competition show, gave the kids more freedom. Yeah, but I look back and I'm thankful, man.
That's awesome. Listen, Jack, I really appreciate you being here and sharing your experience and the stories and just your journey. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best with your brother and family in your restaurant. And I appreciate you joining us today.
Marola, you ever come down to Dallas Fort Worth or no?
I used to go down there quite a bit for business, but now I'm not going anywhere. I'm just doing this,
Nick, you ever find yourself in this neck of the woods? Look me up. All right.
You're talking about clams and pasta and sauce. You got to kid. I would never not be there. Are you kidding me?
Bro, we have the best pizza in the world, dude. We got the best pizza. I don't care where you go. My pizza is light, crispy, and chewy. I'm so proud of the pizza we're making.
You're going to put it up against my New Haven pizza now? Are you kidding me?
Get your ass over here.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time. See ya.
Nick, be good.
Bye-bye.
All right.